episode, hopefully.
Yeah, we were going to do an episode today, but then he wanted to do it tomorrow. So we'll be doing the second episode of Breaking the Chains tomorrow.
Sweet. Very excited about that project.
Yeah, it should be. It'll be fun. It's looking really good. And I don't have to draw any of the assets. So that's fun.
That's awesome. After having dipped into animation for a very brief period of time, I'm like, that I can understand the joys of collaboration in that, because
right.
It's a lot.
Oh yeah, doing it the whole thing yourself I don't know. You're still pretty dang fast though, Josh. I don't know. I must just focus too much on stuff, but
I think it's because you do complicated things that I can't yet.
That might be the case. I don't know.
At some point.
So where's the button? This is the 48-hour art check. I forgot to look what episode it is, so I'll update that later. We're in the 270-ish area, and it's the holidays, so I'm not doing math.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
So Scott, you're in a different location.
Yeah, I'm over at my girlfriend's house. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like you usually have like stairs behind you instead of a framed.
Well, over here because we wanted to watch the great what was it, Conjunction? I always want to say Great Convergence, but I think that's from like Dark Crystal or something. we came up here and then we kind of drove up just a little bit out of the city and watched that. So that's why I'm over here today.
What is that? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's basically where Saturn and Jupiter are the closest they've ever been, are the closest, like if you look in the sky, they like overlap each other.
Oh wow.
So that hasn't happened since like the 1600s or something. And it won't happen again until like 2080 or something. So in our lifetime, that's the only time we get to see that. So
wow, that's cool.
I wish I would have had binoculars and stuff, but it was pretty cool. We had like stargazing app and everything. We kind of checked that out, everything. But yeah.
Is it going to be like that for a while, or is it already over?
I mean, today's the best day to see it. You'll still be able to see it a little bit tomorrow. Gradually, they'll drift further and further apart. But today was like the optimal time to watch that.
Huh. I'll have to go check that out after we.
Yeah. If you look at the Google Doodle, there's a little thing on it showing Saturn and Jupiter kind of hanging out and stuff.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's like we don't get all the benefits from living in the areas we do, but I think all three of us live in an area where we might get a really clear sky where you could actually see that. So
yeah,
one advantage to where we all live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to stand in the snow since it snowed 5 times in the past 10 days.
That's true. I don't know if going outdoors in the slightest is at all interesting.
The nice thing is that when it snows, it warms up quite a bit. So yeah, it's like 32 right now, which is like 25 degrees warmer than it was before.
Okay. I had not done the math on that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, it
actually gets too cold to snow.
Yeah, it pulls a lot of the cold out of the air as it falls, and yeah,
I can't.
There's a couple things that have to happen to cause snow. I wish I didn't know any of this stuff, but it's got to be enough wind to blow droplets back up, and it usually catches a little bit of dust. So the precipitation has to fall enough to gather some sort of particle and then get blown back up in the air to freeze around that particle, and it crystallizes and then it comes down. But if it's too cold or not windy enough, you just get stuff like freezing rain, which is way worse than snow. It's just ice it's water that is on the edge of freezing, and as soon as it hits any surface, it immediately ices up. So when you get like freezing rain is when you get like icicles on electrical wires, and it takes like telephone poles down and stuff.
Jeez.
Anyway, so I prefer snow to freezing rain. But anyway, so yeah, let's do a check.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll go first. I have been working with Jim Luhan, so I did this candle effect, and then I rigged up all the bottles so that they jump and bounce at the same time. So all of those are rigged on the same controller, and so when I move it up or move it down or move it left or move it right, the bottles react accordingly. So I just had to rig everything up and then animate the one controller.
Nice.
Which is kind of fun. And then I did that little candle effect. So you'll notice like shadows and
it reflects off the.
Yeah, and you'll see people moving through the bottles, and as they move through the bottles, they distort.
Oh, wow.
I did like a distortion map on the thing, so you can see that bottle in the middle back and the bottle in the back. Anyway, candle blows up.
I'd be so psyched to see his artwork like this, That's
yeah,
so cool.
he was pretty excited. So
rad.
Yeah, it's fun. I'll have to tomorrow when we do the full breakdown. I'll walk him and the viewers through that process.
And where can the viewers check that out tomorrow too? Because I think they'll be interested.
I totally thought that was a still image.
I was going to say that just kind of came on. I'm like, okay, he was ready.
Awesome. I kind of like it.
I thought you were going to set that up in advance or something.
Yeah. So, Breaking the Chains is the show that we're going to do at least once a week, but we limit it to 30 minutes, and we're meeting live. And so, any collaboration that we have, other than just quick text, like he sent me a text this afternoon, was like, hey, do you want me to name my layers? And I was like, yeah. So like that stuff we're dealing with offline, but any major collaboration, we're doing 30 minutes on it at a time, and we're doing it live. So if anybody wants to watch that happen, the first episode is up, and the second will be tomorrow. So did that. And then I also I've been playing with a new thing called Time Lord. And anyway, you can, I guess I don't have that ready to go, but you can see that on my Instagram stories. So it's kind of like hand animation. It's basically a thing that connects Overlord it connects Photoshop with After Effects. Let me mute this and then pull this up, and then I'll share that tab. So this one, there we go. So yeah, it's basically just hand animation, but you're using it makes Photoshop do what it should do for hand animation. And so
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's basically just a series of buttons that does stuff that should be built into Photoshop, but isn't. And then you click a button and it automatically puts it in After Effects as a composition with the timing that you had in Photoshop.
So cool.
Yeah, and very new, so very, very bad at it. But
that kind of opens the door to some more traditional animation methods.
Yeah, I think tonight I'm gonna play with it just a little bit more, because I think it would be for like this scene. I think, can you guys still hear me? I don't know if this mutes me or not. I don't think it does.
No,
for like this scene, I think it'd be more interesting to have that candle flame be 2D animated than what I did. I basically just had like a glowing dot, and then I just did a little bit of like a puppet pin shear thing to it. But I think it'd be more interesting to have it be a 2D flame. So I might play with that. How do I get rid of that?
I dig it. Dude.
Anyway, so that's what I've done.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. Josh, how about you?
Okay, so first few things are things that are like non-art things, but they're art related. So I did a really awesome interview with Luke T. Harrington on his podcast, Change My Mind with Luke T. Harrington. And I highly recommend people check it out. It's on pretty much all podcast feeds. And it was a really cool, like 2-hour conversation about two stories, book one. and actually gives some teasers for book 2. So it's definitely worth checking out, and especially if you're interested in like an in-depth discussion on like what inspired this book, which I will hand to you right now, Corey. There you go. So anyhow,
I didn't get mine.
yes, that's cool. I'm so glad you picked up on my joke there.
He's muted. You're muted.
Corey,
you're muted.
Yeah, Corey is muted.
Sorry. I was on a different tab typing. I had to like reach over really fast.
I was glad you read my mind on that though. So that's worth checking out. I also did another one on beautiful. Oh my gosh, now I'm Beautiful Voyager, which is a really good podcast about mental illness and struggles with overthinking. And it's kind of like a podcast for overthinkers, which instantly made me think particularly of you and me, Corey. Scott is like semi overthinking, but I think more balanced, where he'll be like, "No, that's overthinking." But I still think it's worth checking out, and really good conversations on this podcast. So that's cool. And then I lined up some more potential interviews and stuff. I got an interview on I'm blanking out. It was basically the local radio station, posted an article, and so that's like a total of like I think 5 or 6 features that I've gotten so far. So, and then just sending out press releases and stuff like that. And then I am really excited about some potential podcasts that are coming down the pipe. Some of them are more literary podcasts, and I'm kind of excited to kind of have a shot because I'm a fan of. I've actually been a fan of all of the podcasts I've been on so far, so it's been pretty cool to kind of be a listener and also be able to be a guest. That's always really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's what all has gone down on that end, and then I will show this. I've been trying to get through thumbnails for the next few pages, and I'm just trying to knock these out so that I can kind of keep making progress on the book. So that's where I'm at so far. It's not a lot, but it's getting there. So I'm working on one as we speak.
Interesting, Josh, is to do an entire comic only thumbnails, because I think your thumbnails, like obviously your finished artwork is really good, but I think your thumbnails are emotive enough where you could like knock that out. You've done like over 50 thumbnail pages already.
Yeah.
So that's like almost 3 issues of floppy comics in like a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
That'd be legit, dude. You should consider getting some fast and loose stories out.
I actually like the idea of, if I work on another comic that would serve it, like to do something more in like a French line style or something would be really fun too. Like I remember Dave McKeon's Cages is like mostly done in like that loose French line style.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is I'm not Dave McKeon, so like I have to overwork it. But I do like the idea of doing something kind of loose where maybe I'm less attached to it. I think I'd have to pick a story I was less invested in it coming out right, you know?
Yeah. Gary Gianni did something like that. I backed Into the Silent Sea when he did Hellboy with Mignola. And they shipped out a book where he did like it was like an illustrated novel of Lovecraft, and he just went in and did like, for him, loose pencils, which for most of us would be like, you know, the most incredible drawing I've ever done. But it was like, I don't want to ink it. It was still pretty legit. So yeah, I think that could be kind of fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun to play with. I do think it would have to serve the story though.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I also just want to mention, full transparency, that my local microbrewery had crowlers half off So if you guys live near the Antelope Valley, you should pick these up. But
I'm not sure how many of our audience live near the Antelope Valley.
But I'm just saying, I've
Yeah.
been working on this, and it's literally one of the best breweries in LA County. So good deal. Anyhow, just throwing that out there.
It's almost like you just handed Scott his drink.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
True,
you just poured in my cup there.
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you.
So Scott, tell us about your fancy earrings and what you've gotten done.
Here, I'll hold your beer while you do
So
that.
these are my girlfriend's, what do you call them? Earbuds or something like that. They're
AirPods.
AirPods, yeah. So that's what those are. And so, geez, what did I do? A whole lot of nothing, honestly. I mean, I did get a video, filmed, edited, and it's up. And if you're on my Patreon, you've already seen it. I saw that Chris commented. I can't access my Patreon from where I am right now, so I didn't see what his comment was. But so maybe he watched that, or maybe it was another video. But anyway, so that's up for Patreon, and it'll go live for everyone on YouTube tomorrow. So I got that video done, and besides that, just like last week, what I said I wanted to do last week, I still haven't got to it. Like, that one coloring book. There's just been so much stuff going on with the holidays and everything. I just haven't had time to do that. And then today, I had a bunch of things I was going to do, and one of those things was to go through I'm trying to figure out my health insurance because I'm on like a temporary thing right now while I try to figure out what I can qualify for, I guess, because I'm just in this weird situation where the marketplace, I don't qualify for the subsidy for the marketplace. And then, my other options, it's like I'm in this weird limbo place, it seems like, where I make either too much or not enough to qualify. So, so I had to go, basically went through all my income, which is, it's all different places. It's all these little microtransactions and stuff. And I basically went through and added all those up and everything. So the good thing is, at least now I've got that done because that's a big part of my taxes. So that's done. So, but I'm still trying to figure out what that means. But so I spent most of my day doing that. And I had planned, well, I guess that'll go into plan, so I won't talk about that. But yeah, that's pretty much took up most of the day. I'm not really, the insurance thing, I'm kind of stressing out a little bit over because I don't want to have to pay what I might have to pay if I can't find another option, because it's pretty expensive. But but other than that, I'm not getting too stressed out, not getting the other stuff done, just because I know it's the holidays and stuff like that. And it's like, so try not to worry too much about that stuff. But I definitely don't. I'm not as productive as I usually am or should be. So.
Well, I kind of feel like, for anybody who's freelanced or run their own business, like kind of working out your health insurance is part of the job. And like, that's a hugely important thing. So, but yeah, it's funny. I've been in that boat before too, where it's like, it's a weird place to be when you make too much to qualify for, certain income like allowances, and then too little to kind of be able to afford anything else.
Right. Yeah.
It's like this weird niche that a lot of artists fall into. And I sympathize because I've been there and probably will be there, again, because it's just part of our gig. So I think that's worth spending time on. Nothing to feel bad about. Should we get into
challenges?
Yeah. So what kind of challenges did you face? You mentioned some electrical wiring. You want to get into that?
I just don't know how to do home repairs, and so when I do, it takes me forever. But I had to rewire some sockets in my kitchen, some outlets, and no one died. They didn't burn anything down. Had some doctor's appointments with the incoming baby, and The biggest time suck challenge is I was trying to figure it out. I've graded several hundred projects in the last week.
Oh, dude, I didn't even think about that. It's that time of year, huh?
Yeah. And so in one of my 400 level classes, I let them talk me into moving some deadlines around, which I think was for the best for the students. But for me, it meant that I had to grade 2/3 of their class projects, like for the entire semester this week, rather than when I would normally do it. But looking at what they did, I think they learned a lot. But anyway, it was like I was up till all hours of all the days and everything. So, so Jim is asking if it's an apple. One more thing.
Steve Jobs turtleneck.
That was my Halloween costume, Scott. I wore a turtleneck and called myself Mitch McConnell.
That's awesome.
Just because, he's got a literal turtle for a neck. Anyhow.
And then I just other things that aren't challenges, but are just slight distractions, which I hope turn into fun things. Is I got a bunch of patches in the mail today. So there's like normal biker patches, loud pipe save.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
The punk rock ones?
Yeah. And this one is like, we're all mad here. This is my third favorite one. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So those are all like mass produced stuff. But then there's this Etsy shop. It's Punk and Dead. It's Punk, the letter N, and then Dead. And they just do awesome stuff. It's blown out.
Cool.
But anyway, it says
something you do, Corey.
I know. I love everything she does. And so in fact, she like looking at her products, this one says stop making stupid people famous.
Yeah, I love it.
And anyway, it's screen printed, and so I ordered this a few weeks ago. But you guys should everybody watching this should go check out her stuff. Anyway, I got a screen printing kit because I was looking at this stuff and I was like, oh yeah. I can't remember if
you talked about it. I don't know if you showed it.
Yeah, so I did this. This is the first design that I'm going to do for my. I'm going to do a new line of patches, basically, that's screen printed by hand on canvas. So this is my Disrupt one. I'm gonna fix the descender on the P so it looks a little bit more like a P.
Yeah, I'd thicken the lines a little on the white too, just so it'll translate on the screen.
It'll be interesting to see how it prints. So this will be my first kind of experiment, but the patches are going to be way smaller than a single screen. So I'm trying to see if it makes sense to do, like several designs in one pull and then cut afterwards or something like that. But anyway, Chris also did not die today. Doing some. You got
to stay long enough for me to send you out your sketch card, Chris. Yeah, he won a sketch card contest on my Patreon. So
nice.
Also, I didn't bring it downstairs, but I also got your Christmas card today, Scott.
Cool. Awesome. Did you get yours, Josh?
Not yet, but I'm looking forward to it. You make a bomb Christmas card. And I'm the selfish jerk who never sends out Christmas cards, but I enjoy getting them. I'm like, oh, this is great. Do that next year. ...
I won't spoil it, but my daughter, my wife, really enjoyed
that's great.
The gag in the illustration was awesome.
Nice. I'm excited about it though. It's so funny with wiring. That's like one of the big ones where I just draw a really strong line, and I'm like, I'm not a contractor. I'm going to talk to a contractor.
I mean, this is wiring is. I wouldn't wire, but I'm talking about you look at the plug and it has a hole where it says put the white one in this hole, put the black one in this hole. I
did a little bit of that with my guitar, and I felt like and and that's like the most basic electronics you can have is on a guitar. It's like there's a pot, there's a volume knob, and then there's like a channel switcher, which is like really basic electronics.
Yeah.
And it's like I did that once and I was like, okay, I didn't fry myself doing that, which with an electric guitar would be really hard to fry yourself, especially a passive.
Right.
But that's as far as I go. Even with the I'm hats off to you guys who can do that. It's impressive.
Well, Josh, how about challenges?
So my biggest challenge is trying to learn the ropes of kind of promotion, like on a book. And I feel like I've been doing an okay job at it. But it's like, when you're with an indie publisher, most of that rests on your shoulders. And so it's been interesting and it's been a challenge. But it's been cool too. So it's like a good challenge. It's like, it's one of those challenges. Like, I feel like I'm getting stronger and learning lessons as I'm doing it. So that's been really cool. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is one that just constantly repeats throughout my career, which is you like as an illustrator or a cartoonist, you cannot afford to have pride. Like, you just can't afford to like have pride in what you do. You have to be pretty shameless and kind of so a good case in point, and this is my biggest challenge lately, is like imposter syndrome, where this podcast that I really like wants to have me on as a guest. And that's after me reaching out to them and being like, hey, I have a book coming out. Like, it'd be good for your show. And they actually responded. And the original time they told me was like on a time where I'm working. And I was just like, well, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. And then when I responded, I'm not going to be able to do that. Like, can we do these other times? Instantly for like an hour and a half till I heard back from that podcast, I was like, well, there it is. I just blew it. Like, they know this whole thing is like, just a farce, like that I shouldn't have been published anyway, and you go down that road of like imposter syndrome. And then of course I got an email back like, oh yeah, you kind of mentioned that before. I should have paid attention to it. Yeah, we'll just do it on a Monday when you can do it. I'm like, oh, well, but that's how this whole process has gone. Like with interviews, with newspapers, with anything, like the second I get a bite, like somebody who's interested, I just instantly think like, well, that was the sentence that on that email where I just blew it, and that's not going to happen. And so that's been an interesting kind of challenge, like overcoming that and just being like, no. Like, I actually need to just like be pretty balls out, like, and just shameless, like, and just promote my work. Cause like people are less bothered by it than I am by it. Like, that's the weird thing, is like, I'm more bothered by it doing it than people are receiving it. Like most people I've contacted, like whenever I'm like, hey, can you like post about this or mention this? Like, they're usually pretty open and down for it. By the way, Corey, that patch is amazing. And when you do double pulls. When you're screen printing white on black, you want to do a 2-pull but that's a rad thing, and it makes me miss the era where I'd rock those things. Dude, I still have like a good Fugazi one that I have no idea what to do.
Speedball's screen printing kit is not as expensive as I would have thought, and it has pretty decent reviews. So we'll see. I don't know. I was surprised, but also this might scratch my itch of wanting to do physical stuff, because I've been for a couple of years toying with either getting into screen printing or something that's way outside of any competencies I have, and get into like silicone mold making for resin casting, for cold resin casting, and like kit bash toys and stuff. And I think that'd be super cool, but then also I'd probably never get anything done because that would be really fun. But I've almost pulled the trigger on like a vacuum chamber like dozens of times, and so maybe I will stop doing that once I have this. But my buddy just got one of those. Have you guys seen? There's 3D printing where you use the filament, but then there's 3D printing where it's a UV resin that pulls it out of a vat of liquid resin. Anyway,
Nice.
there are no lines and no edges. So like,
really?
I can show you because we made one. My son played with it, so it's got like food in it. But it's like there normally when you print with 3D, there are it's a printer and it lays down lines. But this the entire plate goes down under the water, and the vat has a glass bottom, and it not photosynthesizes, but it photo reacts, so it shoots light up, and then where that hits, it hardens, and so then it pulls it up like that, and so it is totally smooth.
Oh, wow.
Chris is asking.
Yeah.
I don't think
is
it's
it hollow or solid.
No, it can be either. It's not like
vacuum. Are you thinking like it's like almost like UV? Like it has like UV light hardening it as it in the shape that it's. That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's UV reactive resin that's in a liquid state, and the bottom of it is glass, and you put it down.
If you took that and you like shot that into somebody with COVID, would that like solve COVID?
Just inject it right into their lungs with the breech. And So if this video was monetized, it just got demonetized.
Oh
no. By the way, because some people don't know me, when I'm joking, it often doesn't sound like I'm joking. Please do not inject bleach or resin into any of your organs.
Please don't misunderstand snark and sarcasm with sincerity.
Yeah. So anyway, I this is probably more plans, but over the Christmas break, I have like, I don't know, half 50 to 100 action figures over here on my shelf, and one of the reasons I wanted to get into resin casting was because I want to like build my own dioramas because I'm cheap and I don't want to buy really good ones, which are like hundreds to thousands of dollars that I can't afford. But I think I can 3D print them with my buddy's 3D printer now, and then paint them and rough them up and do so. I might get into some 3D stuff. And I was actually toying with the idea of doing an animation where I had moving camera on a model, and then animate elements over the top of it.
I love
so
it.
Like just like Star Wars, except with the exception of not real actors, but with animated characters.
Dude,
anyway, I'm toying with it in my head. It doesn't make sense yet, but I think there's a way I could make it work. I just have to get the camera tracking on the track on the camera to move with After Effects, which I think I can figure out.
And see, one of the things I'd love to do if I could do 3D printing or resin casting would be just like a little figure of like the kid version from Two Stories.
Yeah,
like, I just think that would be so awesome to have just like a little, I mean, and I was thinking about it, like even if you did resin cast, it's like it's not a complicated figure, so you could have a pretty easy seam to split it on to like pull open the cast.
Well, if you get me a 3D model, I'll have my buddy print it for you.
Oh, dude, I can do that because I actually have the hookups with a pretty low cost 3D artist. So
he is. It's incredibly inexpensive to 3D print once you get the things. Let me see.
Because if you have the cast, then I mean if you have like the actual 3D item, it's not as complex. That's where I'll have to start hitting people up or watching YouTube videos on making resin.
Yeah, well, once you do that, there's a product line called Smooth On, and the guy Chinbeard is what he goes by on Twitter, but it's Dave. It's Punished Props.
Hmm.
It's a Dave somebody. Now I'm forgetting his last name. But anyway, he's got tons of tutorial videos, and he sells tutorials as well. Yeah. So this is the worst way to show this, but here's my buddy's. Let me turn the brightness up on this. But he printed a bunch of Pokemon.
Oh, nice.
And they're totally smooth.
It's crazy.
So anyway, they're pretty cool.
Man.
So yeah, if you want to figure, you just give me an OBJ and I'll get it printed for you.
Sweet.
Sorry, huge diversion. Chris is saying he just used Smooth On as well. So they've got a bunch of different things. One of them is a 3D print smoother that gets rid of the ridges. It like fills in the gaps and everything. If you're going with the traditional, can you say traditional 3D printing?
Yeah, that's such a new. Yeah,
I feel like it's strange because it just came out, but yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
Josh, did you do challenges?
Yeah. I mean, my main challenge was just
right.
Stuff. Yeah,
You're talking about. Yeah. So Scott, what are your challenges?
So for me, I kind of went over some of them. So this was actually previous to the last 48 hours. I'm going to bring it up because it just, I usually, one of the things I always mention is problems with KDP, and I had a new one. And just this stuff just baffles me because so I created these logbooks, and I created it's the same interior.
Wait,
and I did
logbooks like Star Trek logs?
Well, no, actually, it's so this one is it's tongue in cheek, but it's basically a logbook. If you're in a zombie apocalypse, it's like your daily. You write down your daily, how many zombies you killed, and all this stuff. So I created this thing. It's all the same interior, but then I created like 4 or 5 different cover designs, and and so I uploaded them, and of course they take forever to right now get approved, and then. So it's like 2 out of the 4 got approved. They were okay. And then 2 got rejected because they said, I need to expand the interior or do something like that. It's the same exact interior. So it just makes no sense why 2 can get approved and 2 can't. So I'm like, I'm half tempted to just resubmit the thing the way it is and see what happens because it makes no sense. And I don't want to, it doesn't matter if they look a little different, I guess, because they're, the same people probably aren't going to buy them. But I mean, this is the kind of stuff you deal with when you try to publish on KDP. It makes no sense. So anyway, so yeah, and I just kind of decided whatever, at least I got two up right now, and then I'll worry about, because usually, I get these emails or whatever in my inbox, and it just wrecks my whole day, and I'm like, now I got to figure out what's wrong with this. But this time I was just like, okay, well, I got 2 up. I'll worry about the other ones later after I get done with all this other stuff. But so that was something that happened. That it just is these crazy stories. The other thing was, let's see. Yeah, just little things so my Evernote got hacked.
Oh no.
And I don't know that I'm not sure. All I know is people have logged in from other countries. I don't know what they did, if they took any of that information, or I mean, most of it is just personal stuff no one cares about. But there is I do have a list of password hints. I don't have my actual passwords, but there's sort of hints in there. I guess if somebody's computer savvy enough, they might be able to figure something out on some of those passwords. But so what I did was I just copied all those all that page off my Evernote and posted on or just made a file on my computer, just in case other people manage to hack into it, because I can't figure out, and I can't change it recommends you change your password, and I don't know what my original password is, and it so far it's not allowing me to change the password unless you know what your original one is or something. So I just took all that stuff off of there just in case somebody else accesses it. And then so the problem is I use that Evernote. I log into the Evernote when I'm away from my house or whatever, so I can access different things. So because I'm here over my girlfriend's house, I plan to do a lot of stuff, and I've just been I'm trying to log into all these different services I'm up, and I don't know any of my passwords, so I couldn't get a lot of the stuff done that I wanted to just because I can't access different things. But
Yeah.
so there's that, and then and I've just been having crazy problems with this one Amazon package. So I ordered some Christmas presents for my kids, and then and what's cool is they're like delivering them, like it seems like they're delivering them super fast and everything. But I got this one package. I open it up and it's like it's somebody else's package. It's addressed to me, but it was like a bike pump and a set of Allen wrenches or something. That's not what I ordered. So I'm like, okay. So then I called them back, and then Amazon does not make it easy to find information so you can actually talk to somebody. It's like super hidden, and they give you options, but none of the options ever work or what I need. So, so I took care of that, and then because I was coming over here and I didn't want that package to sit at my house for a couple of days, I had it shipped to an Amazon locker, and apparently I guess the Amazon locker is no longer there or something. So they've been trying to ship it there, and and it's just been a total disaster. But I think I was able to finally, then I had to change the address back to my home address because I'll be back home tomorrow, and I don't know, just stuff like that, just stupid stuff that takes forever and
Yeah.
crazy to deal with. But yeah, so those are challenges.
That's annoying.
I hate to say this, but I totally glossed over this challenge, which was part of why we canceled Artcasters. But so my wife's Apple died.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it had like a problem, like a malfunction in it, and it's still relatively new and within Apple Care. So I initially went to Best Buy. Originally, they were saying we could just return and replace it and have like a data transfer done. So we go through this whole socially distanced wait and stuff, and then just basically are told like, yeah, there's nothing we can do. You have to take it to like Apple. And this is after like weeks of dealing with Apple Care and stuff like that. So then finally I take it to the Apple store, get it taken care of to fix. And at that point, I'm like, maybe I'll cancel out Artcasters because it's just taking a while at the Apple store. But then I'm like, okay, I think I'm okay. I head home. And then I notice on the receipt from the Apple store, they had the wrong Mac. Like they had my serial number on my Mac rather than my wife's. And so I was like, well, that's going to be a problem. So then I called, and that's when I canceled, and is this big to do, and finally they got it sorted out, and they're like, we'll get this thing fixed. Keep in mind, my wife has like 4 or 5 kids books too that she's working on, so she needs that Mac. And then finally we get it all sorted out, and then I get a call like, hey, we're going to be closed because of COVID tomorrow. And I was like, for how long? And they're like, we don't know, so maybe you want to pick up that computer. And I'm like, well, is it going to be fixed? And they're like, no. So we finally went through this whole thing, and they were like, if you can get here by like this certain time today, then we can do a return and exchange, like where we'll just give you a different model that's equivalent in value. And then did you guys back up all our stuff? And luckily we did. So anyhow, keep in mind that was a 5-hour process. The day before was a 2-hour process. The day before that was another 2-hour process with Apple on the phone. So it was like this long, anyhow, I had totally forgotten about that. But you describing kind of like these weird protocols that are like inflexible, and you're like, but this is kind of ridiculous. Like, think outside of the protocol. Like, think out, like, you approve these 2 pages. Why don't you approve these? It kind of reminded me of that. So that was a big headache, and definitely put me back on productivity. Sorry, I had just forgotten about that.
Oh man, that's
sorry, Corey. We're opening the floodgate for complaints.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's the year-end wrap-up of 2020. So Jim says this is the Apple show, but not the Apple show that they want to see. But yeah, so as far as plans go, I'm going to attempt tonight to traditionally animate an intro for the show Jim and I are doing tomorrow. Just because I want to use that as an excuse to learn that plugin. So I've already boarded out a general idea of what I want to do. It's pretty simple, but it'll be, 100 drawings or something. So because I'm doing it frame by frame. So I'm going to do that. And then I still want to get back to the sound on episode 1 of IndoXO, which hasn't been released yet because the sound isn't done. And then what else was I doing? Oh, yeah, I want to get a couple more patches designed, like that Disrupt patch.
I love it.
I've got a bunch of ideas sketched out, but I want to have, 3 to 6 designs done before Christmas, so that when I open my present that I bought myself, I have something to do with it. So, and I've got to get some transparencies made so that I can do the screens and all that jazz. So anyway, so those are my plans. And then assemble a ton of toys, which I've been doing in the evenings. I'm trying to assemble stuff because my kids are at the age where everything you buy them needs to be assembled.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to assemble stuff, like a couple things every night rather than like all of them Christmas Eve at like 4:30 in the morning. So it's still kind of fun because like last night I built like a big Hot Wheels track. It's like I haven't played with Hot Wheels in forever. They're still cool. So what about your plans?
So like for me, I would say I do want to mention, so like I didn't really update people on this, but like my rowing machine broke, and so I replaced it with a water rower, and I cannot say how much more awesome like a water rower is to a regular rower. It's like that water resistance added into it is insane. So I've been managing to kind of keep up with my workout on that, but it's like it's hard to even compare with what I was working on before, because it's like the resistance is just so much more hardcore, where it really kicks your butt, and my heart gets like moving like insanely on it. So so that's one plan, is just to continue with that, and just kind of try to keep my health, because like I do think that connects with everything else. Like just that week of not having a water, like not even having a rowing machine, like, was like a week where I don't have my primary habit of workout. And so it's getting back in the flow of that. Like it's like getting something like a health thing where you're like, oh, I was missing this, and that's why I was feeling like all grumpy and weird, and so that's a core thing. I mean, obviously the holidays are part of the plan, but a big part is also to try to do a thumbnail a day, where I do a page a day. That's my aim. I'm not always going to reach it, but that's my goal, because I do want to get out book 2 a lot quicker than I got out book 1. So I feel like that's what I have to hit in order to kind of stay at it. And then aside from that, just continue to send out press releases and hope for interviews. And then also try to persuade people who have bought the books. Like if you guys have bought the book and you haven't yet, leave a review on Amazon, like with a 4-star ranking or 5-star ranking, because that really helps the algorithm. So I'm at that point, I guess, beyond the whole pre-order push. So yeah, fun time.
Those reviews, by the way, carry more weight once Amazon knows that you've received the book.
Yes. 100%.
which is why I've waited, because I just barely got it today. So
Yes, yeah, and actually, it might even be hard to get them to post it until you've received the book. So,
yeah. Scott, what are your plans?
My plan. So I enrolled into this leadership training that's going to begin in February, but because I put a down payment down, I get coaching from now until then. So I already had one meeting with my coach, and I have another one tomorrow. But I was supposed to plan out, I was supposed to sort of plan out my goals and things like that, and I haven't done that, so I got to do that. So that's the first thing I got to do tomorrow.
nice.
Is lay out all my goals and everything for what I want to accomplish. So that's the main thing. Besides that, I probably won't get much done. I still got to do some. I got to do some grocery shopping stuff for Christmas and stuff. My kids are coming over and everything on Christmas Eve, so I've got to have all that stuff ready and everything. So I'm just kind of not planning that I'll get a whole lot done, but if there is time in the next 48 hours, I'll probably get back to work on that one children's book, the inspirational book for girls, because the book's done. It's just the cover that I got to complete and everything. So hopefully I'll get some time to do that, but that's the main thing, is just set my goals and everything. So that's what I'll be working on.
Cool.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, we're almost an hour. We could wrap, or do you guys want to spend a few minutes doing like a 2020 recap or a 2021 goals thing? Either of those sound interesting?
We could. I mean, I definitely was thinking about maybe doing something like that on the Artcasters, but I don't know who's going to be available. So, because I kind of wanted to have you on, because if we're doing something like that, but I don't know if you're going to be available.
I'll be around. Are you doing Thursday or Wednesday?
Oh, it wouldn't be this week. This
okay.
week's it would be the following week.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do it to be continued on the Artcasters. Because that might be.
Yeah, and again, no Artcasters this week, but we'll come back the following week with the 2020 recap.
I love
and plans and goals. That'll give me a little more time, because, like I said, I'm still working on mine. So
I love it.
Sounds good. Okay, well, real quick, upcoming this week. So if you're interested in watching Jim Lujan and I make a cartoon together, tomorrow 8:30 Mountain Time, 7:30 California time, we'll be doing our second episode where we collaborate live. So come and check that out. The next week, pay attention to that mailing list that Scott is running for Artcasters. We'll do a 2020 review. And real quick, Scott, where can they find your stuff?
You can find my stuff at circworks.com. Still have that sale going on. And yeah, it's 50% off all my digital products. So I seriously, I'm gonna. It's definitely not gonna. It might go to the end of the year if I'm lazy, but it definitely won't go farther than that. So, yeah, definitely pick those up. And I got a new video on my YouTube channel that's coming out tomorrow. It's I did a video. The last video I did was if you want to make a comic book, if you want to make a comic in 2021. It's just some tips and things like that. And I actually got about twice as many views as I normally get. So I'm not sure. Part of that was I unboxed some of the 9-volt anthology that I know Frank, I don't know if he's still in the chat. He was earlier. He was featured in there, and that's all done, I think, by the group that Marshall started, Marshall Lee, the AAA creators or whatever. So I unboxed that. So I think I got some of those people coming over to check it out and everything. But yeah, so it did pretty well. So I'm going to kind of do a follow-up with, if you want to create a comic book in 2021, what are some of the tools and things? So that'll be the video tomorrow. So if you want to go to CircWorks on YouTube, check that out.
Nice.
Josh, we're going to find your stuff.
So you can find my stuff at joshuakemble.com, quarterlystories.com. If you don't remember the interviews that I mentioned, there is a nice section on joshuakemble.com called links and interviews, and you can just check out links directly to every single one of those on
Oh,
there.
cool. I was going to ask about that. I want to check some of those out.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. And then aside from that, like most importantly, if you haven't yet, pick up 2 stories, my graphic novel about faith and mental illness. And if you have picked it up, when you receive it in the mail, and you've had the ability to like read it and check it out, like if you like it, make sure you leave a review on Amazon, or like if you ordered it through Barnes and Noble or through a different site, leave it on those sites. It just helps cheat the algorithm, the evil algorithm that Corey, could do a whole other episode on.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. And if you want to find my stuff, you can go to CoreyKerr.com. If you want to find out where I am on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and all that jazz, or watch animated shorts or other things, then go to CoreyKerr.com/online. Gathered all that stuff there. And otherwise, everybody have a Merry Christmas, and we will see you next week.
Excited.
Merry Christmas.